I signed that card thinking that I was going to wait until marriage to have sexual relations with a woman. So in this case, I have kept my promise of true love ways.
You're so holy.
I know,
Wow.
I know.
I love that for you.
Hi, we're a group of friends. I'm Jonathan.
Annie?
Katie.
We love to talk about all the things we were never allowed to talk about in church. Sex, sexuality, gender, purity culture, racism, equity, just to name a few. This is a podcast for anyone out there who is looking for fresh ways to think about church, faith community, and spirituality. We believe in the power of responsible storytelling and hope to model this in every episode. Welcome to Sunday School Rejects. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. What are we calling our, is it a stool? The three-legged stool?
The stool.
The Trinity?
I think we could call it the Trinity,
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit.
On brand.
Yeah.
If you were responsible listeners, you listened to the last 3 episodes where we created our Trinity.
We did. And I think it's going to be something that we're going to reference throughout the rest of our show and our season. So would recommend going back, even if this is you going back and listening to episodes for future seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want your award from Sunday school, go back and do the work.
We'll send you a gold star in the mail.
There will be a quiz also.
Yeah, absolutely. The quiz is heaven or hell.
Is purgatory an option?
So today, hey, do you want to talk about purity culture today?
Do I ever?
Yes.
I guess that's why we're all here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is why we're
That's
here.
what we signed up for.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the light and easy stuff today.
Real chill, real relaxed.
I love to wake up and talk about purity culture.
Yeah, no trauma whatsoever.
I love the smell of purity culture in the
Ew.
morning.
Gross.
And with that, we're glad you're here and enjoy this episode, Purity Culture Stories. I don't know if people realize that we're in Texas.
We're all Texans and we're trapped here. Help.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
Yeehaw.
This is our call for help.
is our call for help.
why we're doing the podcast. Get us out of here.
Please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here we are making the best of it. It's great. I like Texas. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Today is a very pretty day, and we don't get those often.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So, and it's a beautiful day to talk about the Bible.
Always.
The Bible.
Yes, that. I'm going to stop right there.
Annie, what do you have for us today?
Oh, I have enjoyed kind of pretending that this actually is Sunday school and starting off with a Sunday school question.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. This is Let's Get Biblical.
Yes, we have to say it.
Biblical. Okay.
All right. Can either of you quote off the top of your heads John 3:16?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you like?
Are you gonna make me do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you do it.
Well, Jonathan just looked at me really expectantly. So, for God so loved the world that God gave God's only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him, aka God's Son,
Right.
will have everlasting life.
There
I
it
tried
is.
so hard not to use
That
gender.
was
Yeah,
in real time. You were like, nope, I'm not going to use gendered language. I loved it.
but that's how we learned it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you nailed that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Extremely popular verse in Christianity.
It's a banger.
If you'll recall, Tim Tebow, former football star,
Oh my God, yeah.
wore it on his face paint.
Yeah.
It was
during
probably
one of the games.
I think it was a sticker.
Was it a sticker?
Well, actually, I don't know.
Something under his eyes.
When he was Tebowing in the
When he-
end zone.
yeah.
The sports ball.
Apparently, millions of people Googled what John 3:16 was when he did that, and Christians were,
And they found the voice of Katie.
and they found the voice of Katie.
The most beautiful voice in the world.
But I do feel like this is a very central verse for a lot of Christians. If they don't remember much else about the Bible, for some reason, John 3:16 is it captures so much of how Christians view their faith and what is important to know about God and the Bible and who Jesus is. But I have a follow-up question for you. Do you know what John 3:17 says?
You know?
The end.
And the Bible ends.
That's where the
and
Bible
that's
ends.
actually it. And that's all you need to know. No, I don't.
Yeah. Jonathan?
Not off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
No gold stars for you guys today.
Whoa.
It's okay. Maybe we can redeem
We're in
it.
timeout.
Katie, can you read
The redemption round.
3:17
But I'm
for
a
me?
straight A student. Okay. So John 3:17, and I am reading the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition for those who are Bible nerds among us. Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him, aka God's Son.
I'm always very moved by John 3:17, and it makes me a little sad that it's so overlooked because it's right next to this core central verse, especially because of the emphasis on no condemnation, which I think is, especially when we look kind of at the Christian culture around us in America right now, condemnation seems to be the name of the game. That seems to be at the forefront of what, at least in my perception, Christians feel called to do, condemning, judging. But, at the core of what I'm trying to get at is that if Jesus is not condemning, we should not be doing that, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Look to your left, condemnation. Look to your right, judgment. What if that wasn't the case?
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all wrapped up in this whole package of fear and shame of knowing that if you do err off this very closely guarded path of how you're supposed to live life and who you're supposed to be, then there is punishment and wrath and horrible things that are going to happen to you.
Hell.
Yeah.
Hell.
What I like to jokingly call a quick trip to the sauna.
Going to the sauna to microdose hell.
Yeah. Whenever I do something bad, I'm like, well, that'll be a quick trip to the sauna for me later.
That's amazing. But it very much relates to purity culture for me, just because purity culture, there's so much shame baked into that. That's sort of what perpetuates it, is that it keeps you feeling shame about yourself. It often causes you to condemn yourself in the seeking of this elusive purity that we're supposed to be pursuing.
Yeah. Can I say that really quick definition of shame that I think will be helpful for people, and which I often taught when I was a prevention educator. So guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. Like in my core, I am bad. So I think that that's helpful within the realm of this discussion.
Would you say shame is the right word for that then?
I think so. I mean, I think shame puts on this thing where it's like, no matter what I do, I am wrong. Like, and it's not something that I've done. It's just something that I am. And I think that can create, I mean, we use this type of language and terminology all the time in Sunday school, but it creates this distance with like God and who we actually are, which is, this is a whole other discussion. One of my favorite descriptions of the Enneagram and like certain personality types is like, this is everything that you're not. This is all the things that we put on because of anger or fear or shame, because who we actually are is like holy, and who we actually are children of God. And these are the things that we've put on because of these outside things like shame, anger, fear to cope.
Yeah.
I think about that. You talk about chick tracts a lot, Annie, and that classic imagery of a chasm, like a canyon between you and the divine. And the only thing that can bridge that gap is the cross.
Really quick, what's a tick track?
Chick tract. It's those little tiny booklets that are kind of comic books at
church.
Yes, they're Christian themed.
Okay.
Or like the house on the street you never want to stop on at Halloween that has that instead of candy.
Oh, okay.
Like I just want a Snickers. And,
Sure.
Not a chick tract.
But I found this in the material that Exodus International was putting out about my lifestyle choice is like
quote
the
unquote.
answer.
He doesn't mean that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm using quotation marks. But that purity culture is baked into Exodus International, where the only way I could overcome what they call a lifestyle choice is to embrace Jesus even more and more and live into this, and essentially celibacy, or try to trick myself into becoming attracted to a woman.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
and so final takeaway from that is that, at least I hope that if you know that Jesus does not condemn you, that you would also stop condemning yourself, and that you find some freedom in that. I think you guys earned your gold stars back today.
We got it back?
Yeah, we got it back.
We did it.
Good
Oh,
job.
redeemed.
Well, we promised it. And now it's here.
Dun, dun,
Purity
dun.
culture. Oy. As the elder statesman of this podcast.
Statesperson?
Statesperson, yes, that's right. That's true. That's true. I felt like I could start talking about purity culture because I realized that my experience, some of our more mature audience might understand this.
Sure.
But y'all I'm acting like we're like fully like generations
He
apart.
is
But
50 years older than the
I was
rest
going to
of
say,
us.
so we're going by age, not by wisdom. Because if we're going by wisdom, perhaps someone else would. I'm just
here
kidding.
we go.
Obviously, it would be me if we were going by wisdom.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we kind of went through this on episode 1. Remember episode 1, folks?
Wow.
Yeah. Woo, that was a time. I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, was at church all the time. And my first really memory of purity culture was True Love Waits. And that whole phenomenon that was going on, I'm going to date myself now. I'm just going to do it. In the 90s. And I don't know if we went to a conference or if we just did this at the church, but I signed a True Love Waits card and it was laminated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you sign it in blood?
Is it a legal binding contract?
Well, let me just tell you, I signed that card thinking that I was going to wait until marriage to have sexual relations with a woman. So in this case, I have kept my promise of True Love
You're
Waits.
so holy.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I love that.
I take this very seriously.
I knew it.
So,
how old were you when you signed that?
Oh gosh, probably at that point, 15, 16.
Oh, so it couldn't be a legal binding contract.
Yeah.
Either way.
And-
but thank you for keeping your promise.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. In case you talk to Jesus tonight in your prayers, tell him, hey, he's okay. We had sex ed in school. And what I remember is when we started to look at genitalia, I got dizzy and nearly passed out.
Oh my.
Yeah. So like my concept of sex was really, really, I'd say immature and just not understanding. Very sheltered. Yeah. And I think part of that was self-sheltered, but also I'm not sure I am aware that there were individuals that were coming to our church to talk to our parents about how to teach their kids about sex. But that didn't necessarily translate into my conversations with my parents. But perhaps I didn't show any signs. I mean, I had little girlfriends here and there.
Aw.
Cute.
But
You probably were a great boyfriend to those women.
well, in fact, one of them I'm still very good friends with, and she told me years later that the reason she dated me is because she kind of knew inside that I was gay and that I wouldn't be asking about sex.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really sweet.
As a lesbian, I would date a gay man.
Oh,
I think you'd be a great partner.
Lavender marriage.
Yeah. So there was the kissing, dating goodbye. What is the
I Kiss Dating Goodbye.
I Kiss Dating Goodbye? That came out, but I didn't read it. I actually just read that a few months ago for the first time.
Which was big of you.
Yeah. But I mean, so I didn't really get that far deep in like, I can't date or I have to save my first kiss to the altar. That was, not really there. But I do remember late high school, early college, I was in, I'm just going to say it. I was in my youth minister's office.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him relating a story to me. And I do not remember the context of why the story got brought up.
Mm-hmm.
But he mentioned his first year of college. He was in his dorm room and his roommate came out to him. And his roommate left the room and he threw all of his roommate stuff out of the window onto the lawn by the dorms.
Oh.
And he said this story with such confidence and bravado, like, yeah. And I just remember not having navigated any of my sexuality at that point yet. So that was not.
Did you know what that meant though, to be gay? And
yes. And I think I considered it to be a sinful lifestyle choice.
Sure.
Is what the terminology. But I couldn't get over just like, why would you do that to another individual? Like it just didn't compute to me. And I've kept that in my mind through all those years because that's really, there was so much fear wrapped around purity culture at my church that if you weren't fitting into the norm, then bad things were going to happen.
Yeah. People that you trust are going to turn on you.
Right.
People in leadership who have power over you are going to turn on you.
It was such an odd thing. It sticks out to me even today.
Yeah.
So when I came out, I was too far gone to do any kind of counseling or anything. My parents suggested Exodus International. I should say too far gone to do any kind of like, what do they call it?
Conversion therapy.
Therapy.
I was like, so to our listeners, you too can go to therapy. For any
therapy's
reason.
great. We're therapy advocates here, but not conversion therapy.
Right.
And I had friends who did that, but I did not. But my parents ended up going to Exodus International conferences.
Wow.
And I mean, we can get into all of that. Like they were James Dobson folks. So that's how so all of that material that I've revisited recently. And I'm like, oh, this is just horrible stuff. Because it blames the parents.
Of course.
You didn't nurture enough. You didn't give the proper idea of masculinity as a father. It's just
which is so strange. The gender role thing is so strange to me, considering gender is a construct. But then also, like, there are plenty of queer men who are incredibly masculine in today's quote unquote standards.
Well, let's go back because it's important, I think, for us to highlight. When you say gender is a construct, how would you explain that in kind of layman's terms for our folks?
Yeah. So I'll explain it the way that I have as a prevention educator. So there's sex and there's gender. And I don't mean the act of sex, I mean the assignment of sex. So we are all assigned a sex at birth, and that is typically male or female. There are people who are born with both genitalia or a mixture, and that is intersex. So that's what we're assigned at birth. And then gender is how we are perceived in the world, and it is also a part of our identity. So there are individuals in the world who might have been assigned female at birth, but they are transgender, so they do not identify as a woman, and they identify with a different gender. And that could be as a man or it could be as somewhere in between, because gender is a spectrum. It's not black and white. And the reality is that, one, there's a very large population of intersex people. You might even know some and not realize, they might not even realize that they were born intersex and that doctors chose what their sex would be, which is a whole other discussion. And gender roles and gender itself was put on to us by society and things that exist and say, okay, women are supposed to do this, men are supposed to do this, when in fact anyone can do anything. And so I don't know if that answers your question or if you want me to say
like
more.
I could play with Barbies.
Yes, absolutely.
That
like, doesn't mean you're not, if you identify as a man, that doesn't mean
James
you're not
Dobson
a
would
guy.
have said that that's a problematic thing, but like that to me, acting out however you feel in gender in a certain time, that's not problematic. It is just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go next?
I can go next.
Hi.
As the second most wise.
No, we're going by age.
Oh, you're right. As the second youngest person here.
Wait a second.
Either way, I'm in the middle. When you were talking just now, I was remembering a video that I saw. It was clearly happening in the 90s, but there was this guy on a stage at what appears to be a Christian youth conference, fairly large. They were in like some sort of stadium, and he was chanting "Virginity is cool" over and over while pumping his fist in the air, and he was getting all the kids in the crowd to chant it with him.
That's scary.
Isn't that scary? But it made me laugh so hard. Just like this was the energy in the 90s around purity culture. We were trying to get teens to chant "Virginity is cool." That was just the energy that was in the air, I feel like. So just think about that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to tell you,
lovely
people. Virginity is cool.
Actually, virginity is also a construct. But
yeah, that's also true. That's a whole other conversation.
But when it comes to my personal purity culture story, I don't have a lot of the like classic, like I didn't sign my name on a card. I didn't have a purity ring. I didn't go to a daddy-daughter dance, anything like that. But it was just in the air, like I was saying. And I actually looked this up because I was thinking about abstinence-only sex education, which I keep wanting to call No Child Left Behind, but that's a different terrible.
Totally different.
Different, but
No Child Born.
Yeah. But I was looking this up, and it actually started in the U.S. in 1981.
Okay.
There was something called the Adolescent Family Life Act, often called the Chastity Law, which I thought was very interesting. But it caught on, and they expanded it in 1996. Guess when I started kindergarten?
96.
I don't want to guess. Just move on, please.
Was it 96?
It was 96.
Okay.
But so that's just sort of in the air all the time, even not in Christian spaces. Mm-hmm. But when I do think about the Christian spaces I was in, that was pretty explicit from the pulpit. Mm-hmm. Not just like in Sunday school conversations or side conversations, like from the pastor. We're talking about the intensity of sexual sin. And for whatever reason, I downloaded as a young person that the worst possible sin you could commit was sexual sin. And so for me, especially eventually realizing that I was queer, it like poured gasoline on that idea. Purity culture was not purity culture, but like the idea of sexual sin was bad, but gay sexual sin was 10,000 times worse than that. So the pressure to abstain from all of that was very intense, very overwhelming, wanting to just avoid that at all costs. Mm-hmm. So again, no like specific purity culture. I have no trinkets remaining from purity culture, but
just trauma.
Just a little bit of trauma, yeah.
I you know what? I have searched for my True Love Whites card, and I kept it for a long while. I don't know where it is, and it makes me so sad.
Well, you should put it like on the wall, like in a plaque.
Oh my God, absolutely. Just collecting dust.
Can we make non-purity cards that we sign?
Yeah. Impure cards.
I promise to rebel.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's all I had.
Love it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And now to the youngest 19-year-old in the room. I'm just kidding. I'm not 19. I am 32. But I am the youngest. And being just the baby, I will start by saying as I mentioned before, I grew up in a very conservative household. My parents met in church. We went to church my whole life. I've gone to church my whole life, still do. And I had no concept of what sex was / is. I mean, I do now, but like I'm a grown up and I understand. But I didn't have a word for it. I went to private school through the 3rd grade. So 4th grade was my first time in public school, and learned obviously all of the bad words, including sex, because I guess that was considered a bad word, which is wild, which is so funny now thinking through like whenever we had to do like documents, like the tax test or whatever, like standardized testing, and you have to like put female or male, and it says sex, and I'm sure I was like giggling to I'm like, ooh, this is bad. So I remember hearing it on the bus and being like, okay. And people saying weird, and I was like, that's so strange. And this was 4th grade. I think if you had asked me where I thought babies came from, I would refer back to scripture, and I would say, well, 2 people really wanted a baby and they prayed to God and God gave them a baby.
Amen.
And that's how you have a baby.
Hallelujah.
And that made perfect sense to me. Like, you got married, you prayed to God. If you want a baby, you have baby. If God decides you were good enough, I'm not sure. If you followed the rules enough. So I remember it was either my 5th or 6th grade. And I can't remember because when I was growing up, junior high / middle school. So junior high for me was 7th and 8th grade, but some school districts had middle school, which was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
That was how mine was.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I can't remember which one it was. And we had a mix of districts who went to the church that we attended, because I grew up in a very largely populated area. And so I think that's why I can't remember if it was 5th or 6th grade based on, I want to say it was the end of 5th grade. We had a 5th grade retreat, and I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, so the point at the bottom of Texas. So we're only about an hour and a half from South Padre Island. So we signed up for this retreat to go to South Padre. Super fun. We go to like a mini golf course. We eat like really good pizza. We stay in, I'm not sure if we were staying in someone's like an Airbnb of the time, or like it was a house. I think it was a big house that all the girls were staying in. I think the guys stayed in like a hotel, and we would all meet up at either the like hotel conference room for like our Bible studies and stuff, or at the house. I can't remember. And now I imagine, I'm going to give background before I dive into everything that happened at this retreat. I imagine that the children's pastor at the time probably coordinated with the youth pastor, I would assume, and I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, and had meetings with the parents about what this retreat would entail. It's also around the time of puberty. Like, we have had the puberty talks in school, but like abstinence only. And we're not talking about sex. We're just talking about what happens to your body as you get older, and periods and all of that jazz. So I knew that, like, that was familiar to me. And I hadn't had my period yet. So I was like, well, not yet apply. NA, not applicable. And so I imagine that the pastors had meetings with the parents or gave them information about what all this would entail. So we go to the retreat. We're having the best time. We're like, there are go-karts, there's mini golf, there's like, it's fantastic. And then I can't remember if it was a night or a morning. I want to say it was one evening. They get us all together in the conference room, and then they separate the boys and the girls. And we watch a video that tells us about sex and what sex is. And I am dumbfounded because I literally only know what my genitalia looks like as like a child, obviously. I have no concept for anyone else's. I know there are boy parts and I know there are girl parts. I know that you can kick a guy in a certain place if you really need to get away. Like, that's like that's as much as I had. And there was no imagery, there was nothing. And so we're watching this video and I'm like, what? What do you mean? What is this? And I'm looking around like, am I being punked? Like, I don't even know what being punked is, but I'm looking around like, where are the cameras?
Is this
like,
a hell house?
Yes. I'm like, what's happening? No one told me. My mom and dad didn't tell me. Surely they would have told me. And I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, but also no one else was freaking out. So I'm like, okay, Katie, gotta play it cool. Gotta stay cool, Katie. Everyone here knows what it is except you. And so, because obviously I'm a like budding teenager who is also worried about like, who's self-conscious and worried about appearances.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, well, I can't let my guard down. Gotta like stay focused. So you watch the video and I'm like, ugh. And then like they show like how a woman gets pregnant. Not obviously, they show the process of like, this is what happens when a woman gets pregnant. This is like the anatomy. It was like cartoons. It wasn't like people kind of thing. But like they showed how the body parts worked in terms of like picture.
Was it like
cartoons.
SpongeBob cartoon?
No,
or
but like a drawing kind of thing.
VeggieTales?
No. They don't have hands. It wouldn't make sense. So I remember we finished it and we were like, okay. And then they like probably had some other activity for us to do so that we like forget. And like, I think we spent the rest
here's
of the
some pizza.
Yeah, basically. I think we spent the rest of the evening separated, which is good because I cannot imagine being around boys right after that. I think I would have freaked out. I would have been like, so you're telling me. I would have had some really weird conversations, I'm sure. But I remember going back to the house later, and I can't remember, it was probably the next day. I asked my friends, hey, did you know what this was? Like, did you know what sex was? And some of them said no. So I was like, okay, not alone there. And I even told them, I was like, I really thought like you pray and you get baby. That's the only way to get baby. I suppose I had not yet experienced teen pregnancy. And, so there was, again, no concept for that. That's kind of what opened the door to purity culture for me. And once you like learn, it's like, well, of course I don't want to be 16 with a child, which I didn't. I mean, I think I also had a concept of, based on growing up and being conservative, like I thought I was going to get married and have like 5 kids. I do not want that today. Yeah. But I was all in for this purity thing, especially if it meant like, here's the other thing, where the language of purity is so convoluted and also tied up with so much imagery of like Jesus making us pure and white as snow. And like what you want is to be pure. And I took that and ran with it. So I remember, I think after that retreat, my parents gave me, I was in the worship band. So my parents gave me this necklace that was like a leather cord, and it had a silver guitar pick on it, but like actual silver, sterling silver, and it had TLW on it for True Love Waits. So I wore that every day so that people knew that I was pure.
Off limits.
Off limits, boys.
Think again.
No funny ideas here. No funny business.
No funny business.
I believe then when I turned maybe 16, I asked, or maybe younger, I can't remember, but I asked for a purity ring. I've since sold it. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
How much are purity rings going for these days?
I think the cost of silver was lower then, so. But I think you can get one at James Avery. It was from James Avery.
Oh, yeah.
And he's looking it up.
I want to go back to, you were talking about the language of purity culture, and then also how you talk to your friends about whether they had heard about sex.
Yeah.
Also, like within that is that teenage need of, no, I know all about sex, but really, what do any of these kids know?
Well, yeah.
And if it's clouded in this language that is like metaphorical or just like,
well,
really,
even in the Bible, like, and he laid with his wife. I was like,
right.
They went to bed. They had a nap. What do you mean?
She sat at his feet.
That's exactly. Yeah. What do you mean? That's all it's supposed like.
Well, because we're supposed to be reading this text literally,
you
right?
took it literally.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
they
what we're
laid
being
down.
taught.
They were tired. My parents took a nap every Sunday, like a literal nap. I'm not like making a euphemism, but like they always took a nap after church on Sunday. So I'm like, yeah, they took a nap. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And I will say, I did probably only feel comfortable having those conversations with those people because we were all in church together. I think if this were a public school forum, I would have been way more cautious just because viewpoints, as well as like I surely would have been the most naive in the room.
I also I wonder what was going on in those moments where parents were talking to church leaders or, I'm the expert of telling kids about sex.
And that's the thing. No one told us, right? Like they had like a video, which I imagine was probably like through some Christian group that that made it more, not sciencey, but like biological than like feelings and all those things. It was kind of like, okay, like this is what happens and this is like what you do after you get married and blah, 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 which was like terrifying to me because I'm like, okay, I've just now learned that these are what my parts are for and do. And now you're telling me that one day if I want babies, like this is the one way to have, which there's multiple ways to have a child, obviously. So it was also just really jarring for me to understand. And I think you bring up a good point. We didn't receive a lot of the anatomical, biological like terms as we were growing up, as you mentioned, Annie. And then also never once did I know what consent was. I don't think I learned what consent was until I was already in college, if not older, because that wasn't taught in church, which is so wildly irresponsible if we're over here preaching purity culture, but not talking about consent.
Also, just so you guys know, if we want to take a 22-minute drive, we could get an elegant stamped purity ring in ring box for $50.
$50?
Yeah.
For the low price of
For the low price of
your
$50.
purity.
That's how much my purity is worth. $50.
Oh my God.
Wow.
No, sorry. That was... Sorry.
Rewind. Ooh.
Yeah, so consent. That's the magic word I wish I had heard way back then.
Well, and we see on this, like, I mean, I think we're always going through cycles of purity culture. I think sometimes it becomes very hot topic and then it's like something else grabs our attention, but then it gets brought back up, just like everything in the world. Nothing's new under the sun. But we saw that wave, and then not too much longer after that wave, probably in our 20s, is when we saw a lot of the elder abuse of like within churches and seeing like pastors, clergy abuse, that's what I meant, sorry, who had taken advantage of like parishioners and or had like inappropriate relations with kids, with youth, with etc. And I wonder what would have happened if consent had been a major point within that world, to understand that like you're not like, this is, you're in control of your body, you are responsible, and you get to say what is okay and what's not okay.
Because purity culture gives you no alternatives.
No.
I always think about that clip from Mean Girls where the coach is teaching them sex ed, and he's like, if you have sex, you will get chlamydia and die. Like, that is what he is teaching in schools, and it's making fun of the abstinence only, but that's kind of the choice that they force you to make. Like, you're either going to, if you have sex, you will die, is the implication of purity culture, right? Or you will be... God will look down upon you.
You'll be dirty.
You'll be dirty. You'll be sinful. And there's no alternative to that.
Right. And it's wild to me that like the only way to not be dirty is if you sign a marriage contract and like suddenly there's no way you could be impure. Like, which I'm just like, what do you, how does that fix it?
Yeah.
And it's interesting too to be on this side of it, like talking to my parents about it, because they asked like, so what are you doing? And I was like, I'm recording this podcast. And I think I asked them, I was like, why was it such a big deal? And I think my parents like even said, they're like, we don't know. Like, and they're always, you know, joke around like, you were the guinea pig, and you know, because I was the oldest, but still, I think they too were surprised at how they just went along with it because that's like what the church told them to do. And that's all, you know, right? It's their first time being humans too. So that's what they taught their kids.
Yeah. And they were probably taught the same stuff or maybe even less. So I'm interested. There are people out there who have made a living equipping parents to teach their children about sex. And why did we pay them? Like, I didn't learn shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I learned about abstinence, which again,
and you never had sex with a girl.
That's right. Hallelujah.
Yeah. No, it's a complicated thing. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about those things. And we hope that by sharing our stories, maybe you kind of dive into your own. And if that's also with a therapist, we highly recommend that, because it can be traumatic for many. And we hope that as we continue this season, that we help guide some of that conversation, and maybe we change our minds about things. Maybe we consider different alternatives. Maybe we realize that the thing that we were told all along could be different, and maybe we can make it different. And that's why we're here. So we're leaving a pretty big, heavy conversation. And yeah, big breath in, big breath out.
Yeah, breathing exercise is very important.
Very important. And with breathing exercises, perhaps we can give our listeners a couple of resources that we think might help and or get the conversation going for them when it comes to purity culture. What do y'all got?
Yeah, I have just recently been reading this book, Beyond Shame. Mm-hmm. It's by, and his first name is beautiful, but also I might say it wrong, Matthias Roberts.
Okay.
What I love about this one, he is a licensed mental health counselor.
Oh, cool.
Also, he lived through purity culture.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks quite a bit about the fear and shame that come from purity culture. Also, bringing in real life stories of folks that he's talked to, along with his own story. But I love reading therapists,
Mm-hmm.
counselors, and psychologists in this realm that have also encountered purity culture.
Yeah.
There's a few of these books. Beyond Shame is really, I've found it to be a beautiful read. So that's one I definitely want to throw out there for now. But there's so much great resource of folks who are thinking and who are actually qualified to talk about this.
Yes, yeah. We're not looking for Mel Robbins. We are looking for licensed individuals who can talk on these things.
And that's the other thing. I learned this in school from my pastoral care professor. There's a lot of Christian counselors who have no degrees and have no. So these folks, Robert's here, really a great work. So I highly recommend.
Love that. Did you want to?
Yeah, I on brand for me, I'm going to recommend a podcast.
Ooh, love.
There's a guy named Pete Holmes who has a podcast called You Made It Weird. And it is not a purity culture podcast or even a religious podcast, but he talks a lot about purity culture.
Okay, cool.
And his experience in the church. You might have to search for the specific episodes where he talks about that, but it's pretty frequently, and his content is really good and very helpful. He also has a ton of resources that he talks about, and he's just very funny about it. He's a comedian, and so he's one of my favorite podcasts.
We need something happy.
Yeah,
we need something
a little lighter about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll go ahead and say Nadia Bowles-Weber's Shameless, a sexual reformation book, is a great resource. It's been a few years since I've read it, but I remember gaining a lot from it. And I think while she's not a licensed therapist, she is a pastor who I think has been outside the margins a lot of her life. And I appreciate that she approaches it with a very honest demeanor. And so,
well, and her angle as a woman and pastoring women who have been really harmed by purity culture, and those gender norms that we've talked about. She needs to come on this podcast.
Nadia,
hello.
Do you want to come? You want to come over? You want to talk? So that is what we are leaving with y'all today. And maybe you have resources too that you think might be helpful. We'd love for you to leave us a review and maybe share some of those. Or you can go over to our Instagram page, message us, email us, etc.
Love.
Cheers.
Bye. Hi, friends. We hope you've been enjoying the podcast. Really quick ask. We want to know if there are things that you want to talk to us about or have feedback on these last few episodes you've heard. And we're hoping to have it be our last episode of the season. So if you have any thoughts, questions, etc., feel free to send us an email at ssr@goodfaithmedia.org. We'll also put that link in the show notes. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us for Sunday School Rejects. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. You can find more information in our show notes. Please go and follow Good Faith Media on Instagram, on Facebook, and follow the rest of the amazing podcast there. You can reach out to us. Send us feedback and information on how we're doing. Our email is ssr@goodfaithmedia.org. Or you can find us on Instagram @Sunday School Rejects. Till next time, practice responsible storytelling and just take care of yourself and take care of each other. Love you all.